Hi, my name is Daisy Favor. If you're new here, karibu sana. If you're a subscriber, karibu tena sana. Today's video is going to be short. We are going to be learning a Latin phrase, Coram Deo. If you're interested, definitely stay tuned. So the first time I came across this phrase, Coram Deo, was in a book I was reading some years back called Worldliness, Resisting the Seduction of a Fallen World. I'll post it here. If you ever come across it, be sure to read it. It was such a nice book. And it means in the presence of God or before the face of God. So today's video is about living before the face of God or living in the presence of God. So when I was in primary school, since all my stories will be based on teachers, so if you're a teacher, be sure that students remember what you teach them or what you say or all that, so long as it's good, even bad by the way. But today's topic is not about teachers. I want to share on something a CRE teacher in primary school used to do. She had posted posters written, "Is what I'm doing pleasing God?" like everywhere, in the dining hall, in the dormitory, in the classes, everywhere. Like there were those posts, even in the toilets. Is what I'm doing pleasing God? And I think it's a good way to reduce punishment. Anyway, but that thing stuck with me. Is what I'm doing pleasing God? When every time when we remind us or ask ourselves, is what I'm doing pleasing God, we'll be able to live Coram Deo, or live in the presence of God. As you know, God is omnipresent, He's everywhere, He's always watching us, He's watching our every action, our every move. There's no place we can ever go that is away from Him, or rather, we can never hide from Him. So living before the face of God is a conscious thing, like every time you go to do something, you ask yourself, is what I'm doing pleasing God? As a poster from primary school was. And Colossians chapter 3 verse 17 says that whatever your hand finds to do, whether in word or deed, do all in the name of God, giving thanks to God the Father and all that. But emphasis on whatever your hand finds to do, do all in the name of God. In that way, we'll be able to live Coram Deo. There's a friend of mine called Flozy. Flozy, shout out to you. Yeah, she was sharing with me how she developed this habit of always praying before undertaking anything, and that way she would be reminded of who she's doing it for. And I think that's an amazing habit that we all need to adapt. Of course, because when you pray before doing something, you will be reminded of who you're doing it for, and integrity will be there. Like you'll develop in integrity. So that's a habit we can all adopt, asking God to help us before undertaking anything. And I'm sure by that we will be very conscious of whatever we are doing. There's also that common phrase, WWJD, what would Jesus do in this situation? If we constantly remind ourselves of what Jesus would do in such a situation, we will find ourselves doing the right thing most of the time. And Christians ask a lot of questions on, is doing this as a Christian wrong? Is doing this as a Christian good or bad, and all that. And I think if we just remember that we are in the presence of God at all times, or living before the face of God, we will not have those questions. Because if Jesus would be okay with this, why not go ahead and do this? If Jesus would be okay with me doing this, then I can go ahead and do it. So that's the reminder I had for us today, that we remember that God is always watching us, and we live in His, like before His face, in every moment. And also from Romans chapter 12 verse 1, it says that, therefore, brethren, present yourselves as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable before God, which is your spiritual worship. And I love what Warren says from his book Purpose Driven Life, that the thing about a living sacrifice is that it can crawl out, or crawl away. I don't know. But the thing about it is that it can crawl away, meaning it's not going to be smooth. Sometimes we may find ourselves doing things that are not right, but always remembering that we should go back to God and do the right things. So that was a reminder for today, that we need to live before the face of God, or in the presence of God at all times. Like, there's no taking a break in this. God is always, 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 always watching. And I believe as we do that, we'll know how to love Him more, how to worship Him more, how to do everything as unto Him and not man, even before saying something, because the Bible says in word or deed. So even before saying something, when we remember that, if we remember that we should do it in the name of the Lord, we find ourselves being kind to one another, saying the right things, and living well as He requires us to. I hope you've been blessed. And if this has blessed you, don't forget to share it with a friend, that they may also be blessed. So subscribe. Bye.
Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.
Yes.